Welcome back, everybody. In today's episode of Cooking with Kirby, we're going to be making a classic. We're going to be doing some fried chicken today. Now, this is a two-part series where my last video I showed you how to brine chicken. Now we're going to be actually cooking it. So no further ado, let's get into the recipe.
Since you're here, hit the like and subscribe button and make sure that the notification bell is rang. Check me out on social media. That way you can get notification of all my new recipes. We're going to start off with our ingredients, and it all starts with the flour. Now we want to get a nice flavorful flour so that way the batter is going to be nice and tasty. So we're going to need 1 to 2 tablespoons of kosher salt to your preference.
A half of a tablespoon of black pepper. 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. 1 tablespoon of onion powder. 1 tablespoon of paprika. 1 tablespoon of dried parsley. Now this right here is all up to you. This is 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Now if you want it hotter, by all means add it. If you want it less spicier, go ahead and reduce this down. This is up to your liking. There's people that love really spicy food, which I do love spicy food, but I want to be feeding this to my kids, so I can't have it too spicy. So I'm only adding in 1 teaspoon. That's where I found out where I can be able to sneak in some heat without them complaining that it's too hot. So yeah, this is up to your preference. Some of the spicier chicken recipes, they have probably like a tablespoon of this, and yeah, it's pretty intense. So cayenne pepper, up to your liking. Now we're just gonna go ahead and mix everything in. You want this batter to be nice and flavorful, so you want to make sure that you mix it well. Okay, so once you have your flour mixed, once you think it's incorporated enough, you want to go ahead and taste it. Just go ahead and dabble a little bit, then your finger, and taste it. That way you can see if you're okay on seasoning, so that's okay. So when I set up to do fried chicken, I'll drop it in the flour first, then I'll drench it in the buttermilk, back into the flour, and then into the oil. So that's kind of like the flow that you want to have when you're doing fried chicken. Because if you have it over here, then you're bringing flour it just makes a mess. So I try to have the flour as close to the frying pan as possible, so that way it's just an easier flow. So we're gonna need 32 ounces of buttermilk. Now you could do egg also, but buttermilk, man, it gets that nice crispy exterior. It just adheres to the chicken, so you'll see right now in a little bit. Okay, so this is how it's gonna go down. The hand that's close to the flour, that's gonna be your dry hand. The hand that's out over here with the meat and the buttermilk, that's gonna be your wet hand. Do not ever put this hand in there because it's just gonna make a mess. Over the years, it just it makes it so much easier. You won't have all kinds of gunk on you. I'm not doing a huge batch. I'm doing, I got 4 thighs and about 6 legs. So it's gonna be fairly quick. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with the thigh. Now this is the chicken that I brined in my last video. This chicken's already seasoned. There's no need to put any seasoning on this chicken because it's already sat in that brine for 8 hours. So the meat and the skin is already seasoned, so you don't need to season this. But if you don't brine your chicken, then you'll want to add some seasoning on here. So we're gonna go ahead and just drop it in the flour, as so. Get a nice good coating of that flour on there. Now use your dry hand. Shake off any excess. Now we're gonna go ahead and drop it in the buttermilk. Okay, this is why I'm gonna tell you to leave this hand only to go on this side. So you wanna go ahead and fluff up your other side with the flour. Go ahead and let some of that buttermilk drip. Go ahead and get a handful of flour, drop it in, and go ahead and cover. Just make sure you get a good coating. It's gonna absorb the flour fast, so it's gonna get on there, pretty good. So that's pretty much it. Now we're gonna go ahead and get our oil ready. I'm gonna get these battered up, and then we'll go to our oil, and then that way I can show you from there. Okay, you're gonna need 2 things when frying oil. Now we're gonna be preheating this oil to 325 degrees. Now You want to make sure that your chicken's tempered, basically meaning that it comes to room temperature, so that way when you put your chicken in the oil, it's not gonna drop your oil temperature so fast. If it's cold, then it's gonna drop the temperature really low, and it takes a long time for your oil to come back and recuperate. So that's something you wanna keep in mind. You wanna make sure that you have your chicken tempered. And also, to help clean up, a nice screen to go over this. So I adjusted the flame to where it would stay around 325 degrees. It's right around 330 right now. So now we're gonna go ahead and drop in our chicken. Now when you drop in, slowly, and drop away from you. Now my temperature didn't drop much because I have my chicken tempered. It's to room temperature. You know, you wanna let it sit out for a little bit before you plan on frying it. Also too, you want to keep in mind, you know, you want to be mindful of how much you're putting into your pan also. Now I'm going to let this cook on this side for about 12 minutes or so, and then we'll give it a flip. Now that you can hear that the temperature is coming up, you know, you're starting to get more of a rapid fry. But yeah, we're still going to cook this for about 12 minutes and then we're going to flip. So the oil's back up to about 300 degrees. I'm about medium-high heat right now. So that's just something that you need to keep in mind, you know. And then as you start seeing it getting a little bit more aggressive, start bringing it down. But tempering your meat before helps that out. I knew it was gonna go to about 280 degrees. That's what it always does, even with chicken that is tempered. Now it would have dropped more significantly if you had cold chicken that you just barely pulled out of the refrigerator and battered it up and put it in the fryer. So that's just something to keep in mind. One thing you don't want to do when frying chicken is you do not want to cover with a lid. That's going to start adding moisture and water and the steam, and it's just going to start going into your oil. Then you're going to start noticing that your oil is going to be like real rapid. That's because you're introducing all kinds of liquid into the oil. Now water and oil don't mix, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you're going to cover, if you want to, you know, prevent any splats, see right now I'm at 320 degrees right now. If this were to be popping and splatting, use this, a screen. But I'm not making a mess here. You know, it's frying, it's doing its thing, but it's not aggressive. That's why you want to stay around 325 degrees. But if it starts to splat and, you know, the chicken starts releasing its moisture into the oil, use this here. This will prevent it from splatting all over the place. All right, so our 12 minutes is up. You can hear the oil, you know, it's doing its thing. It's not aggressive. So now we're gonna go ahead and flip our chicken. Again, always away from you. All right, so we came up on our 12-minute mark. Now we're gonna go ahead and flip them again. Because now what we're gonna do is we're gonna check the temperatures, because this side is, you know, cooled down because it's out of the oil.
Now using a thermometer, we're going to be checking the internal temperature of the chicken. Now you want to stick the point of the thermometer into the middle portion of the chicken so that we can get the correct reading of the temperature. Now you want to cook your chicken up to 175 degrees.
Okay, you want to go ahead and scoop it out. Let it drip a little bit, and you want to put it on a pan with a rack so that way it can drip the oil out.
Now when it comes to the legs, they cook a little bit faster. They are smaller in diameter, so they are going to cook a little bit faster than the thighs. So we're going to be cooking them the same concept as we cook the thighs, and we're going to let them cook from 8 to 9 minutes per side. And you want to make sure that you check the internal temperature and it hits at least 175 degrees.
Let me know what you think about that recipe. One thing that I do like about brining your chicken is this meat is perfectly seasoned. You don't even really need to put that much salt in your batter, but it's really tasty, really flavorful, and the brine just goes all the way into the chicken. Overall, it's really good. The batter is nicely seasoned. If I wasn't serving this for the kids, I definitely would up the cayenne to give it a little bit more heat. Overall, it's really good. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. You gotta give it a try. And if you're new to my channel, consider hitting the subscribe button. That way you can see future videos just like this. As always, I'll leave a link in the video description and in the comment section so that we can go to my website, cookingwithkirby.com, to get the full printable recipe. Now I have these recipes, they're really good, you should try them out. Now y'all be beautiful and take care.